Nice to see
Yeah.
you.
We have, Michelle, could you rename Cherry?
Hello?
I tried, but I couldn't. I don't know why. I don't know. And maybe it's how I'm logged in. I went in.
Oh, maybe. I got it. All right, here comes Nina. We just need one more for the quorum.
So I don't know. You probably can't hear it, but there's a turkey outside and he's gobbling. He's making a lot of racket. So I'm gonna
Things that you never really thought would happen at a board meeting, right? I'm trying to think of, hang on a second, I'll put myself on mute. See if I can. I actually volunteer on another board. And they constantly have to call me up and text me and say, oh, did you forget the meeting was tonight? And I'm like, yes, I did. So I really can't cast any shade here. So if people do forget, so.
Hi, John.
Let's see if I can't remember whether Monette said she could come.
Hello, Andrew, John, and Nina. I hope you all are well tonight.
Hi. Yes,
Hi.
it's been nice out today. It feels like summer.
Yeah.
So true.
All right, there we go.
Hi, Monette. All
Hi,
right.
everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Monique. It's nice to meet you.
You as well. Thank you.
All right. So, hi, everyone. I guess we have everyone, so we can call to order. So first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from April 12th, our last meeting. So did anyone see anything in the minutes that they, wanted to change or adjust?
I did not.
No.
I did not either. So I guess if there's no edits, we can, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from April 12th as presented to us tonight?
So moved.
Second.
Good job, Jerry.
Okay, great. So I'll just go through. So Monique?
Here, what do you,
Yeah,
aye.
Sorry, I should have said that. I know, it's like, because I know last time you hadn't sworn in yet. So this is your first voting meeting. So yes, perfect. John?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Monette?
Yes.
And I say yes as well. Okay, great. So next, I don't know if there's no one here for public comment. Is there any new emails, Michelle, from the email address that we use?
No, I checked it right before 5, which is what we say, and there was nothing.
Okay.
But I don't know about the trustees. So
Nope. Nothing on the trustees one.
Okay. All right. So no public comment. And so, all right. So moving right along then to the financial update.
Yeah. And I'll just say that I'm sure that there are lots of public comments, just nobody who actually wants to make the comment publicly. So it's a slight difference. So the financial report that was sent out to you was as of May 3rd. I didn't leak it over into May. I left it as sort of basically a picture of April. we should be at 83%. So we are running under budget on lots of things. We do have a few more big items to come up in expenses. We will be under budget in salaries, mostly because of we went through our hiring patterns. We definitely went several months here and there without a body in the position and things like that. So, but we are, to the extent we can be, fully staffed now. Our materials budget seems low to me, but I feel like I say that every May, and then we get this flurry of purchases that happen mostly because of the summer reading that comes in this time of year, and then the teen librarians and children's librarians do a huge order that usually brings us up pretty quickly. There's two things that we also add now. We'll probably be placing an order for new PCs. Any equipment that we buy for public use, such as PCs, mice or keyboards or monitors, even a printer that we use for public service, can be deducted from our materials, can be part of our materials expenditures. So, so our materials are running, they're fine. Fines and fees are fairly normal. We had one gift this month. It's sort of a little bit of an oddity gift. The friends wanted to purchase some books, some story time books. So they're books that they can circulate, but they're sort of on reserve and hold for the children's librarian as they craft their story times. And they have a special call number and everything. The books they wanted to order, they don't have a book ordering account. So we had to order them. So they donated the money to us. So it's sort of a little workaround, but it does count as a donation, and it is from the friends, and it was directed towards these story times. I think in this case, they're the very large story time books. So they're very specialized, and we have to get them from a special vendor. So, but that all worked out. So we were very pleased that they could support that, and as one of their efforts. The income, I have been told that the income on the trusts, which year to date is roughly $8,800. I will figure out how to incorporate that into our budget next year for materials spending. The auditor is not happy with the money just sitting there not being spent. So we do need to begin spending that. Having said that, I do not believe that the trust income over the next year will remain at that pace. That's actually, last year, I think we had 12,000, which was inordinately a large amount to get. But the rates are going down. So I've been told by our town treasurer to expect that the interest on our, the income on our trusts will go down. We can, however, either create a new trust or add to any of the existing trusts from the existing gift money. So that would, boost up the base and increase the revenue. So we would just need to decide where to put it. All of them, most of them are directed towards the actual purchase of materials, with the exception of the Appleton Fund, which does have a broad clause of works of art and other suitable, useful furnishings for the library. So I think, that is something, perhaps we could purchase. I don't know. I think it's broad enough that we could plop money into that, or not plop, but we could transfer money into that account. And I think I need to double check it with the treasurer, but I believe that we would then be able to use it for whatever purpose we wanted to. So if we needed to replace carpeting or purchase shelving or anything like that, that's the broadest trust that we have. So I need to talk with the treasurer about that. Also, actually, just on a side note, and I'll mention this, I don't think Michelle reported this, but the town has started taking electronic payment through a vendor, a credit card payment or online payment. So they are usually dealing with the taxes, you know, the assessments and things and the excise taxes, and they're generally larger amounts of money. But a year ago or a year and a half ago, we looked into getting like credit card payments or just non-cash payments for our printing and all the other little things that we do. It's cumbersome because sometimes someone literally has just 25 cents to pay for print something, so that it's sort of a pain. And if we're going to put it on a credit card, we're going to get 20 cents, and the credit card will get 5 cents or whatever the rate is. I do think that one thing we've noticed with the pandemic is that touchless payment and or some other form of payment may be something we want to look into, just because handling the cash, particularly coins and dollar bills and things like that, is really cumbersome. So we could upgrade the coin machines to either take it would be an expensive investment, but we might be able to get a different type of machine that either takes a touchless payment or create a vending card kind of thing, where you could purchase a vending card and then use the vending card. We do want to make sure the biggest barrier is that many of the people that come into print may not have a credit card, or they may not have Apple Pay or something like that. So we do want to make sure that the folks that come in who really just have a bag of quarters and want to make a couple copies can do that. And I think we review our fee structure every year. It's probably time that we look again at what we're charging for things. We don't make a profit on any of it. It all goes into a revolving fund. If anything, it's fine to make a deficit on that. And basically, we just want to recoup the base costs. So there's lots of fancy things we might be able to do. And we need to make sure that when we do it, it's not causing a barrier to service. Any questions about the financial report? I do have the, one of the things we started doing before COVID and have done intermittently is to get you a copy of the P card purchases that we spend. And I think I sent one out in March. I have the April one, and I'm going to wait and send you them two at a time, because they're very, very small. And you don't need to approve it like you approve the warrants, because they've already been paid. It's just sort of a notification that it's been spent. Most of the things that go on the procurement card, we cannot use the procurement card for travel. We cannot use the procurement card for food. We cannot use there's a whole list of things we cannot use a procurement card for. We have to have tax exempt accounts set up for whatever we do whenever we use the procurement card. In general, the largest charges that you see on there are things for like, we have a monthly payment for our MailChimp account, which we use for, it's like Constant Contact. We put software renewals on that sometimes. So a vendor like Adobe only allows you to pay by credit card. They're not very PO friendly. So we do pay for some of those. It's nice to have, but I would say more often than not, you will probably see things in the warrants where you see individual staff members getting reimbursed for their own credit card usage, because sometimes that's just easier than using the municipal P card. It is what it is. We're closing in
Amy,
on
I just have one
Yeah.
question for you on the
Sure.
trust.
Yes.
So it's showing an addition of $42,069.
Available. That's what's available, not addition. That's what available. That is what is available to spend. The non-expendable funds cannot be spent at all. The available and interest is what has accrued over the years, is the total. We have $42,000 of the 90 that we can spend. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And that number presumably always goes up, but in a bad year, it could possibly go down, because it is investment.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't following that right there. Thank you.
And if we can rename that, if it makes it easier. So I think it's a good point. Any other questions on library finances? Okay.
So want to move to the director's report, Amy?
Yep. Sure. Well, I'm not sure whether this belongs under director's report or new business, but I think what I sent you out for the COVID-19 report was starting on April 30th, we stopped quarantining materials. That was fairly, that we expected that to happen. That was in line with what the state was recommending. We have reopened our self-checkout machines, which allow you to actually touch it. Usually before, you can only just check it out. Now you can touch it and look at your account and renew things. We've added wipes of it everywhere. We've added wipes everywhere. I put the word vaccine in there because what the rest of that sentence was supposed to say was that the staff are in the process, those who wish to are in the process of getting vaccinated. We anticipate having everyone who wishes to be vaccinated will be fully vaccinated by June 21st. This excludes that we haven't spoken to the pages. Actually, most of them are high school pages, and they are a younger group. So we will speak with them and we'll arrange schedules if there's any anxiety there. We don't require anyone to get their vaccination. But in view of that, we have a larger, over half of the number of people who wish to get vaccinated are actually completely vaccinated now. So today we opened with no appointment browsing. And I can't say whether, I didn't hear back that there were masses of people flooding into the library, so I assume all went well. Basically, the numbers that we expected to have were just about our regular numbers. There's still no soft seating at that point. That's what's going to be coming on June 21st. June 21st is the kickoff for our summer reading. So we had hoped to sort of return, get the newspapers back on the floor, get all the soft seating out, and probably eliminate even the PC and study desk spaces. Just let people walk in and use their space as needed. That was as of May 12th. And today is May 17th. So 5 days later, we've now found out that masks are probably going to go away on May 29th, or they are going away, and that the state of emergency will most likely be lifted on June 15th. So,
I have a question.
Yes.
If the library wishes to continue the mask mandate, they can. Is that correct?
The trustees would need to revote on the mask policy because right now it says that it's aligned with the state, with whatever the Commonwealth says. So
Okay.
short of the Board of Health in Reading telling us we must have it, then I'm not sure that there's much that we can do unless you have the policy. I do think that from our perspective, go ahead.
What does the staff think?
I was going to say, so we're going to be talking about that. There's definitely anxiety. I would say it's more in that it was just so sudden and a little bit unexpected. Yeah. The reality is our staff can absolutely wear their masks 100% if they wish. They can. They are all behind plexi. They do not have to. They can absolutely social distance. Everything we put in place, and we will still probably have our little stickers on the ground asking people to not crowd the lines. The real risk, obviously, are to people who are not vaccinated who choose to come into the library, and that is, I think that's where we've started to realize, we're putting out wipes for everyone because we're not going to clean everything before everybody touches it. You have to wash your hands, use the sanitizer, clean your own computer. It's sort of personal accountability. So I think there's some anxiety, but like I said, with those numbers of where we are and we do check in regularly with employees to make sure that their comfort level is there. Having said that, I can't say that 100% of the staff are going to be like, woohoo, this is awesome. There's definitely some work that we need to do to introduce this in a way that is a positive for our employees and yet still also provides balanced service.
Right.
Amy, are you asking the employees to let you know if they're fully vaccinated, or are people just voluntarily telling you? Are you asking for proof of vaccination, anything like that?
Well, no, because we don't require vaccination. What we have is a satisfactory vaccination status. So we did an anonymous survey. We had 35 respondents. Actually, I'm sorry, we had 32 respondents that went out to 35 people. And I suspect people that didn't respond are probably people like me who put out the survey and didn't actually answer. But it was basically, there were two thresholds. One was May 18th and one was June 21st. And all we said is, will you have a satisfactory vaccination status, which could be no shots. I'm good if I've had one shot. I am only good if I've had 2 shots in 14 days. But we didn't ask that. We just said, would you be at a satisfactory vaccination status as of this date? And as of May 17th, as of today, we have over 50% of that, actually pretty well over that. And then as of June 21st, it was everybody with the exception of the 3 people that didn't answer, which I don't know who they are, but they've been reminded ad nauseum that they have the opportunity to ask that. So to answer that.
Okay, thank you.
Privacy is very, very important to us. So we've tried to be
Yeah.
anonymous about that.
And that's
So
fine.
I guess my recommendation would be, again, I think the Board of Health met today or they're meeting tomorrow. Depending on what the Reading Board of Health says, my guess is that we're going to follow the state's guidelines. And as of the 29th, the face covering requirement will retire. And like I said, employees may absolutely wear their masks. There's nothing that requires us not to wear masks, even if they're happy with their vaccinated status. I think it's, I mean, to say only unvaccinated people need to wear their masks, there's no way we can check that. So there's just, that's totally unfeasible. So we're just going to have to go with some trust and accountability there.
Will there be a sign at the door that indicates that unvaccinated people should wear the masks?
I think that's what we're going to do is with the signage. The signage will probably go change. We have some great signage now. Thank you, Michelle. We have some great signage now, and we'll update that to, first of all, we really don't like it when people move our furniture around. So I'm not sure if that will stay or not. I've enjoyed having that on a big sign. It does really annoy me when people drag all the chairs everywhere. But that's a personal peeve. I think what we will do though is have the social distancing when possible is appreciated. And it, please remember that the state recommends that you wear a mask if you have not been vaccinated. So just sort of best practices. We'll probably keep up everything that says we'll keep up all of our dispensers for we're adding more sanitizers. We're not a big fan of the wipes just because they're environmentally a problem, but we will leave them out and keep them out as long as we can, just to encourage people to keep with clean hand habits, although that's less of a concern. And then I think the bigger issue that we're going to have is how we fold our programs into this, because we do a lot of singing, we do a lot of crowded spaces. If you have a child that is under the age of 12 and you're not vaccinated, that's generally where we see a lot of singing and a lot of crowding. And we want to be able to make sure that we do that in a way that is safe for our patrons, but not prohibitive. I think we'll probably target small programs and not kind of go back to the larger programs for a while until things settle in.
Makes sense.
And again, frankly, it's not the librarian that's probably going to catch anything. But we also don't want to have a big headline that says Reading Public Library super spreader event. That would probably be counterproductive.
That wouldn't be good.
No. We are excited to get back to in-person programming. So a lot happening on that front. I'm very tired of changing my direction every every week. Hopefully that's going to slow down a little bit. And just really quickly, I wanted to give you a snapshot of April. 971 browsing reservations, 279 desk space reservations, 181 PC reservations, 1,100 reference questions. Our circulation for the month of April was 85% of our 2019 total, which is
Pretty impressive.
absolutely stellar. I don't
Yeah.
know. And,
Yeah.
and, you know, I know a lot of that had to do with people checking out their own books during browsing. The most laborious thing that we do is the grab and go pickup, which will go away on June 21st. You'll have to come in, you know, you'll get a notice that your hold is ready. You'll come in, you'll pick it up, you'll check it out, either at the self-checkout or with a real human being. We will do, if people are unvaccinated and they are really concerned, we will do some sort of, you know, drop off on an ad hoc basis. We certainly don't want to prevent service. But when I tell you the amount of people hours it takes to get those things pulled, make the appointment, put it in the bag, check it out, staple the thing onto it, it's an incredibly laborious process that has resulted in people being able to come in and out of the library super fast. And it's been an appreciated thing, but we will all very, very happily waive that process goodbye. So we're very excited to see the end of that. And our machine, our AMH machine will be back in service. So people can, if they don't want to drop it outside, they can come drop it inside and go along the little machine.
Is
I love dropping it off
as of
inside.
today?
I love,
No, that'll be the 21st.
That's the 21st too?
That's the
Okay.
21st, yeah.
I love playing with that machine. It's one of
Well,
my
somebody
favorite things. I do. I think it's fun.
We, our service contract was up on that, and we're in the process of negotiating. You know, I'm not sure what it will be. It'll probably be for another 3-year contract of service. We pay, as you know, a fairly significant, hefty amount to have them make sure that it's all up to date with the Evergreen software and make sure that we get the little pieces that break down, get the replacements. They are actually sending out, thank you to Lauren Gardner, who persisted. And we have somebody coming out from Texas to meet with us to talk about that contract, as well as do a once over for the machine. It's been in action since 2016, late 2016. So we just want to make sure that everything is cleaned and repaired and up to date. Yeah, so that's going well. I asked the librarians to pull back on their programming last month. So they chose to ignore that and went up from 62 programs to 67 programs. So apparently they just ignore me. But some of the highlights were they completed the study buddy program, which that was a Gold Star project started by a young lady from Reading that is continuing, and we facilitate that, and we match up high schoolers with middle schoolers on very specific types of tutoring. And it is one of the, it's one of these really community-based services, meaning, the Gold Star project got done and then that person moves on. They're not going to maintain that project that, part of the project actually is that it be maintained without them as they go through their life. And so we have taken that on, and it's a wonderful framework, and we love using it. And it involves our teen librarians that we get involved with the schools, and, being able to offer that free coaching and tutoring is just a really great experience for both the middle schoolers and high schoolers. At the other end of the spectrum, we have our countdown to kindergarten. And now more than ever, we have our librarians going out to work with community partnerships. There's nothing new there. It's just, that's just a smattering of some of the groups that we're trying to meet with. Any questions about programs or basic library services? Okay. We are in the process of seeking some library associate substitutes. Now that we're getting back into the swing of things, I actually think we may be posting for a substitute librarian as well. I'm not quite sure. We rely on substitutes for librarians. We can often find a librarian that works at another library part-time, and they're just looking to pick up a few hours here and there, that we can usually find folks to fill in, sometimes on Saturdays, sometimes in evenings. The library associates are a little bit more difficult to find because we're asking someone to really come in, maybe once every other week for a few hours. It's not great pay and it's really complicated. So we are trying to figure out how we can get some people substituting sort of on a regular basis, basically, do a rotation every week for something, so that we can make sure that the training, it's one of the most complex jobs to work the borrower services desk. In addition to all of the circulation control that you have to do, which is just check in and check out. There's so much to do with patron management, museum passes, video games. There's a ton of stuff that all the library of things that get taken in and taken out. Those are just very detailed processes that have to go through. And every museum pass is different. Some of them get checked out for a week. Some of them you take away. Sometimes some of them you can bring from home. So it's just a lot of knowledge to kind of keep. And if you're not doing it regularly, it is difficult. So we're trying to come up with a solution that gives us some backup. We have a lot of people that have not taken their vacation time. It has been extended from December. It was everything was supposed to be spent by December 31st. They extended it to March, and now they've extended it to October. And my guess is if we hit next December, we will be, people may be losing some time. They did do a payout this year one time, some people, but most people actually chose to keep their time and they would like to use it. So I think it would be a great time to train some substitutes. Professional development, as you know, this is always just a selection. We did have a number of librarians attend the census data survey information. Michelle, did you go to that?
Yes, I did. It was very interesting, and actually, just in general, anyone can sign up for their the U.S. Census. They send out emails, and they're always fascinating surveys of different parts of the population. So I don't know, it's just interesting stuff.
Yeah. So just trying to keep on top of that. We spent a lot of time trying to get people out with the survey, so we're trying to get some back on that. The Digital Commonwealth is the group. So when we have our things like our online yearbooks or the postcard collection, all of that is funded and works through our Digital Commonwealth, which works with mostly libraries to archive and collect digitally content that it has to do with current and past Commonwealth history. Very interesting, not surprisingly, this year, there was a lot to do with how we document and how we keep privacy. So for example, if you have a photo project about COVID or a video project that says, okay, this was the town of Reading during COVID. We actually are working on something that with Sherry Vandenacker. And you have a video or a photo of someone attending a protest. What are the protections that need to be taken into account for that person, what their sign says, what their name is, all of that information, can it be used against them legally? So there are a lot of complexities, particularly when you get into digital archiving about, the original versus what gets posted, what do we keep? So it's a very interesting time to be working with archives and working with digital collections, because so much of the world is captured, and first of all, it can be altered, and second, it's ubiquitous, as we know. There are videos everywhere. People can take a video of you doing anything at any time, anywhere. So quite a bit of the discussions, quite a bit of the theme had to do with how do we collect everything? How do we build how do we even build an equitable story, right? Whose stories are we telling? How are we telling them? And are they even ours to tell? So it was quite an interesting discussion. Along that line, you'll see several programs that are very specifically related to diversifying collections, addressing race relations. All of our staff are still continuing to work on projects related to equitable work. I think the other, that includes the courageous conversation training, educational equity, whole person librarianship, and some of our newer staff attended a mental health first aid class. So that's something that we do on a regular basis. We usually work with Erica McNamara. In addition to youth mental health first aid, they also have adult mental health first aids, and they also now have an elders mental health first aid, which ties in nicely to the dementia friendly work that we've been doing. So we're going to probably work with Erica to see what refreshers we can take to make sure that we're all up to that with our services. So that's what I have for the director's report.
Amy, I don't know if everyone, I know Monette and I just learned recently that Amy is the new, is it the president of the Noble?
Yeah.
Board? I don't know if everyone else already knows that, but that was pretty exciting. If you wanted to.
Oh, yeah. So it's sort of a little bit accidental, but so I was asked to be the vice president. Noble North of Boston Library Exchange is our consortium, and we have an executive board that oversees the staff, and just like sort of they're a nonprofit organization. So in May of 2020, the president had to leave, and then their vice president started. And at that point, they had to pick a new vice president. So that vice president stepped up to president, and I was asked to be the vice president. So I was like, great, I get to be the vice president-elect. Everything will be happy. And then she decided to retire in December of 2020. So in December of 2020, I became the de facto president of Noble. It does not shorten my term. I will actually remain the president through, I think, June 2023. I do have a new vice president, and I've told them that I promise not to retire or leave. You have to be the voting member, usually the director of a Noble library, to serve on the executive board. So, and it is interesting. They are starting some new initiatives. It's actually Noble's been great. So we've started an inclusive libraries discussion group. So that includes accessibility of all types, from collections programs to leadership to technical services. Then they've also just started an ad hoc committee to look at sustainability and how we as libraries together are, what are we working on? What can we co-op on anything to make sure that we're being sustainable in our systems, and being, good stewards. Maybe there are things that we should pay more for because they are better for the environment, maybe not. And also just, I get to learn a lot about how the Noble system works, which is pretty amazing. I still think it's the best consortium in the state. It's one of the smallest, but it is the only one that includes both academic and public libraries. And we really benefit from that. And it's a great group of people.
Nice, Amy.
That's great. That's exciting.
Actually, and the other thing is this week is MLA. Michelle, do you want to talk about a little bit about the Mass Library Association conference?
Sure. So the Massachusetts Library Association conference is being held, and it's virtual. We had a really good, I'm one of the co-chairs of it. And so I know a lot about the background of it. So we had our first day today. We had Anika, I'm going to forget her last name, but so she was our keynote speaker, and the Reading Public Library actually co-sponsored her. So she actually came and she spoke to the library staff in November, and spoke again today, and she was very powerful. And then we had programs on, I attended a program on that Erica McNamara was at, and she was talking about self-care, but she was also talking about mental health services that are available for staff to training to take. We had several different authors come and speak. We had programs on anti-racist books to add to your collection. And tomorrow we have the president of Every Library, which is a library advocacy group, and he's going to be our keynote. Amy's going to be talking on Wednesday with Deb Gilberg about the community conversations. So that's going to be really exciting as well. So we're getting really good feedback from it. We had some technical difficulties today, but it was great. I'm really glad that we're still having it virtually.
Yeah. I would say the theme, no, two things. One, she's underplaying her role in this. Michelle has a lot to do with this. And I would say, like, I guess it's 80s, right? Yeah, that's your.
Oh yeah, I have my
Yeah.
shirt on still. It's called Let's Get Digital.
Let's Get Digital. So there's a whole 80s thing, which has been sort of fun for certain people of a certain age. And there's a whole bunch of people that it's just like, whew, they have no idea what all of these references are to, but it's been fun. But beyond the 80s references, which just makes it a little fun and entertaining, it is about going digital, but I would also say that there's a real theme about libraries and equity and inclusion, and how do we make sure our collections and our services are really serving the people that they need to be served. And even in the academics, you know, are we serving all the students? Are we serving only a certain portion of the students? Are we serving the faculty? So that question is being asked. And then, you know, libraries are really starting to take on that interrogation, that self-interrogation, which I think is really, really important. And for me, I think it's a little inspirational kind of that we are kind of realizing the legacy that we hold. So any other questions about what the library is doing? Anything? Wow, you guys are so easy to please.
Are we on to other business, Amy?
Yeah, so in terms of other business, I was going to talk about the face coverings, but I've already talked about that. Meeting in person, I have requested several times now. I'm getting to the point of nagging, but we would really, I basically said, especially with these last two things coming along, that we should be able to meet in the community room in person for June. My feeling is we should probably plan on that. And then if somebody says no, we will pivot once again and go back online. The community room, depending on how you calculate it, wide open, is about 40 people with that 50%, you know, or whatever the current capacity is. But in theory, those capacities may go away on June 15th. Well, I guess that's after the meeting, because I think the meeting would be June 10th. So I think there's a good possibility, considering we don't even have people who want to have public comment. I don't think that we would have people to be turning people away at the door to attend a trustee meeting. Maybe, maybe not, maybe depends on what's on the agenda. So I really don't see a problem. We are open. The Board of Health, I mean, the Board of Health would actually have to specifically say that we couldn't do it. And but I think that the Board of Health has to actually just say they don't object. And I think legal counsel has to weigh in as well. I'm not sure why, but I think we have to run something by legal counsel, making sure that it's accessible. I do think that if we do it in the community room, RCTV can record, or we can set something up so that it's recording. And I'm assuming if the state of emergency is over, when the state of emergency is over, Baker's going to go back to I think we were allowed to just telecommute in. So I'll be curious to see whether there are any changes about Zooming in if someone is unable to attend. There were some very specific rules about remote participation and how that could be handled. So I did take a refresher on the open meeting law, and they very much stressed that a lot of what happened during COVID will be considered, but they basically want people to get back to meeting in person as much as possible. So that will be good. If you have any problems or questions or concerns about that, you should feel free to contact me. If it's something that you have concerns or you're uncomfortable discussing, I'm happy to talk about that. And I guess the last thing is, I didn't really go over the FY22 budget, but we got the equity position, so yay. I have in a big project list is to start compiling who will be on that committee. We'll probably be looking for 2 trustees to participate on that committee, as well as a select board member, someone from the schools. It doesn't have to be a school committee member. I think there's going to be 3, at least 2, if not 3 portions to that. The first portion would be probably just the review and selection, like the first selection, and that would probably just happen as a smaller group, probably a group of like 8 to 10 people. That sounds big, but I think that's possible with some rankings. And then there would be a larger kind of panel interview process, which other people could be involved with. And if needed, there might be a second round of interviews with a separate set or nexus of people. I do think it needs to be as many people involved. The more people involved, I think it would be helpful. Erica McNamara has actually very generously volunteered to kind of walk me through how she was hired, the process that went through, as well as the process that she went through in order to establish her advisory board, some of the hurdles that she went through, and what their role is. And so she's been a great cheerleader and very helpful. I think the other thing that would, does anyone have questions about the equity position or the next steps? Okay.
No, but I did just want to say, I know that, it was a lot of town meeting sessions that went into that. And I just wanted to, acknowledge how I thought you did a great job representing the library and the library community. And, in terms of answering questions and addressing concerns that people were sharing. So I think you did a great job of representing the library. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely, been interesting. We did send out, I also want to make a correction. The Chronicle published our press release as a letter to the editor, which Michelle has reached out to them. That should not have been a letter to the editor. That was just a press release. I did not write a letter to the Dear Reading residents, signed Amy Lannon. And thank you, Andrew and Monique, for your quotes. So that is something, we don't have to put in a retraction or anything, but it was a little frustrating because it made it sound like I was personally thanking the community. And although I do thank the community, that wasn't the purpose of that press release. So that was a misprint, and that was a misprint. So that I just want to make that note about that. And it was definitely interesting. I sent the press release also to the Mass Board of Library Commissioners and to a few of the library leaders in Massachusetts, just so that they could get a sense of what we're working on. The last thing I just wanted to bring up to date is, if you haven't read that already, 59 Middlesex Avenue is still have the same owner. They will be creating it's still unclear to me whether they are creating a recovery facility or whether it's a sober home. Those are 2 different things. One is congregate living, one is a very different step. I expect to again check in with Erica. Erica McNamara, Reading Coalition, we're just like all really good friends. expect to check in with her and see if there's anything that we need to know. Neighbors are neighbors, and we just want to support everybody and have a good neighborhood. So, so we're very excited that that it will not be empty. At least I think that's very good, and it sounds like there are some people that want to help our community.
The
And
the original organization that had held the neighborhood meeting,
Mhm.
that organization is no longer involved, correct?
No, I think they are.
I
The
thought I
owner
read-
is still the same.
The
Maybe-
owner's the same, but who they were leasing it to that night, that there was that big
Oh, that
community
night it might be
meeting,
a different group. That might be it.
I
yeah.
think that they pulled out.
Yeah. Well, I can't blame them.
Yeah.
So I think whoever it is, obviously, our intention is just to make sure that we're good neighbors and we're supportive and providing whatever help or support that we can as a public institution. And also the tent. We will be having an outdoor tent, which seems a little superfluous now, but I don't think it will be. I think it will be put to good use. We are putting up a single 20 by 20 tent, and it will be used a lot for children's programming, although anybody will be able to use it. It will provide protection from the sun and, maybe from a little bit from the wind, but it's not a tent. I guess it's a canopy, so there's nothing on the sides. It doesn't require any permitting, but it will be installed. It will probably end up with some damage to the grass because the grass underneath it will probably get all brown and not get any sunshine. But we are very excited because it really does expand our ability to have programming outdoors or a pop-up library outdoors or something outdoors. It took a little while, but that will be going up on June 22nd and coming down on August 10th. And we'll be sending a notice to abutters within 600 feet of the library. Also inviting them to participate in our summer reading program. And that one of the kickoff events will be Friday, June 25th. There will be a family castle quest that will basically be a scavenger hunt running inside and outside of the building. People will be able to sign up, and there's going to be 3 cohorts, I think, at 6:30, 7, and 7:30, and each cohort runs for about half an hour. It's just going to be a nice family event for as many people that want to sign up. It will be registration, but the children's librarians are supremely excited about this. So as are we.
That's exciting, Amy. I think that'll be great. All right. Any other business that anyone wanted to share tonight or bring up? Okay. Okay, so if there's no other business, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second.
Okay. Thanks, Terry. Okay, so I'll just kind of go through my screen. So Monette,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Monique,
Yes.
and I say yes as well.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. It was a very nice meeting to have. So,
yeah, good to see everyone.
so we'll plan on June 10th being in person.
Right.
And as usual, if there's any agenda.
Are you
items-
sure the date is June 10th?
I have the
Not-
14th.
You're right. It's the 14th. It's not the 10th because that's a Thursday.
Okay.
It's the 14th. It's June 14th. So it's the day before everything goes,
Yeah.
sideways, pear-shaped. So we'll assume that all rules, I can already see right now that people are going to be asking for things to be done early, but June 14th, we'll plan on being in person unless otherwise said. With things going in person, and with people coming to the library, we will need to, I know we've adjourned, but I'll put on the agenda next time for in-person. I'll continue the digital, the online bill rolls until we discuss what to do
Okay.
if we want to change that. So maybe we
Okay.
should put bill roll warrants on the June agenda. And if you have anything, you can send agenda items to me or to Nina. All right, guys.
Sounds good.
Have a good night, everyone.
Have a great
Have a
night.
great
Thank
night,
you.
everybody.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.